they're
So if a
alive.
machine's keeping them alive, are they alive?
I believe so. I believe you're alive till you're dead.
Abby, you're shaking your head no. You disagree?
If you're not able to live on your own, I understand life support helps families towards the very end when you get to have your closure and your selfish goodbyes to an extent. And life support can help in instances where if you are going to get better, but after a certain point, you would unplug those machines and you would die. You're not living anymore. That's machines making your heart beat. That's machines making your lungs breathe, pumping nutrients into your body. That's not you.
What do you think? There's obviously consequences to making a choice like this. Maybe not even that dramatically to the person taking the pills because they're then gone. How do you think someone who chooses PAS, how does that affect their family? How does it affect even the doctor who wrote the prescription?
I think when you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, every place you read, you go through all the stages of grief. Alone, with your family, you go through all of that, whether you choose to end your life or stick it out until you die by natural causes. How hard it is on your family, it definitely depends on every situation. Brittany Maynard was 29 years old. She had gotten married just before the diagnosis, and she just had connections with her mom and stepdad. She had a small family connection. They supported her all the way through. In videos afterwards, her mom is clearly upset by it, but proud of her daughter and the decision she made. Obviously, they wish they had had the full 30 plus years, that 50 plus, however long it would have been, that they would have gotten to spend with her. But with a terminal illness and 6 months left, the last memory they have of their daughter is her making a choice and her free will. And I think it gets harder when you are further along in life. You have a family, you have kids. You don't want to have to make that decision in the first place. You don't want to have 6 months to live. You want to be able to raise family. You want to be able to have an influence on the world and on the people that you're surrounded by. But at the same time, you still have 6 months or less to live. Zach brought up the situation earlier with 6 months to live and ended up living 8. At that point, 6 months isn't like a timeline. You have to take this when the 6 months are up. It's your choice to take it whenever. You can buy Motrin at the store and keep it in your fridge pantry for 10 years and not take it. It's a prescription that you only take when you need it. And in the last moments of being able to do things on your own. And I think as a family goes, you would grieve and you would be upset just like you would losing any family member. But in those last moments, you don't have a secured view of who that person was. You didn't see their personality start to change and turn into somebody that you don't know. That's not your last memory of that person.
I think if it was my parent, I would be upset for 2 reasons. One, they didn't want to spend the last couple months with me. I know that sounds selfish and maybe that's not right, but that's how I see it. And then the second, and probably most important in my mind, is that we're limiting God with death. I'm not saying he's going to work a miracle. Maybe he plans for that person to die in 2 months. But we're limiting God for what he can do and saying that we're going to write history. We're not going to let him do his job. So that's just where I see that.
Does the Constitution say anything about this?
There's
Does it address it anywhere?
Fourth Amendment that has the right to privacy. But when it was brought in front of the court, it isn't a clear right to our privacy to have the right to die. It's not something that is specifically in the Constitution. It's not a federal decision. It's given to the states.
Time is short. I have 2 questions, but I'm just going to ask one. You're calling it death with dignity as opposed to physicians-assisted suicide. And definitions of terms can affect how people think about something just because of the connotations that go along with words. If you're using death with dignity, are you therefore presuming if you choose not to end your life, that you're not dying with dignity? If you choose to fight till the very, very end, are you not having a dignified death?
Brittany Maynard's quoted saying, "I chose this for myself. I would never sit here and tell someone else that they should choose it for them. But the question is, who thinks they can sit here and tell me I don't deserve this choice?" I don't think it's ever viewed wrong to want to stay and fight. I think some people don't have that fight left in them. They don't have months and years left. I mean, given 6 months, every situation is different. And for some people, that may be an option that they want to stay around for as long as possible and fight to the very end. But there's also cases of people who can say that they've lived their full life, that they've done everything that they needed to do. And the last thing they want to do is go up to them.
I don't think there's any dignity in PAS. I see more dignity since like sticking it out than choosing to end it.
Go ahead, ask one more.
All right, so there's been a lot of talk, especially from Barnhart, about not supporting physician-assisted suicide because basically, like, that's not God's plan. Like, we don't get to choose. But is it possible to make the argument that terminal diseases and the suffering, the agony that goes along with them is not part of God's plan? Like, that's corrupted, and so there comes a point where it's like, that's not the way it was supposed to be, so why endure what is not intended? Does that make sense? And kind of tied in, what is the role of suffering in the life of the Christian? Well, you're the one who's talking a lot about it, so...
I would say that, like you said at the very beginning, that wasn't God's plan for us to fall and sin, so that was our choice there, and we chose wrong, and I would say that this would be still kind of repercussion of that this wasn't part of God's plan either, so you're choosing your original bad choice to then fix your bad choice already, if that makes sense.
Zach, you gonna let Justin take the heat for you?
Well, I've talked a lot today.
You have it in you.
I probably have taken too much time. I'm sorry.
Here's my memories.
Did the four of you uncover anything that you want us to, that we didn't ask you, that you wish we would have asked you, that you wanted to make sure you get in?
I just wanted to say that with PAS, I feel like we're focusing so much on the quality of death that we're not focusing on the quality of life that that person could have. And focusing on, as Christians, I think that we should be the ones who go in there and make their quality of life better by simply being with them.
But what if you can't? What if life is going to be terrible?
I guess that would be where I would come in and say, if you're reduced to a quality of life that you can no longer improve, enjoy the time that you have left and spend every moment you can with that person, but after a certain point, you're not spending time with that person.
So then it's okay.
Let me just pull a Gary Allen quote for you. Country music. Life isn't always beautiful, but it's a beautiful life. Thank you. Life isn't always gonna be awesome, and you're gonna, at the end of it, you're gonna have a rough patch for most of us. It's gonna be horrible with the suffering. But at the same time, life in general is beautiful, and I don't want to end life because until Jesus takes me home and then I have eternal life. I don't feel like that's one of the beautiful things that God gave us, is life. I don't believe that we're supposed to be taking that away.
Zach,
I
what
take
about somebody
away
who's
gifts.
lost all ability, bodily functions, everything? Where's the beauty in that?
Beauty in it? Oh, there's so much beauty.
Is
See,
beauty in that?
God's here, and the Holy Spirit lives inside that person. They may have nothing else on this earth, but guess what? They still have that, and the Holy Spirit gave them the gift of life. So still, I don't think you should be taking away that gift. That's a gift given to you by God. And so until He takes it away to give you the bigger gift, I say have fun with the gift He gave you.
But what if it's not fun?
It's not always going to be fun.
You just keep talking like in these rosy terms, like it's going to be a good thing, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's really hard. Is that okay? Does that mesh with kind of the whole Christian hope and experience?
Yes. I would say that like nothing worth getting comes like just because like anything good in life you have to work for or suffer for something. It just makes it all better when it does. So like suffering's a little bit necessary to get to your ultimate goal.
I think going along with Zach's point would be the quote, I have today and in this day I get to live well. But the problem with that quote is that there is no living well. After a certain you get to a point in terminal illness, Brittany Maynard was having seizures where she would be debilitated and not able to speak, or she would see people she knew and not be able to control her body for 4 to 5 hours after each seizure, and these were happening almost daily. In some cases, multiple times a day, and she was hospitalized for it multiple times. That's not living well.
My papa had Parkinson's for 14 years. I was 12 whenever he died. And so he was to the point where he couldn't move. He couldn't talk. It was just like grumbles. And he was the most joyful person I've ever met. And yet, just by all means, his quality of life, you would think that's pretty terrible. He can't even get words out. He just garbles. And yet, I've never seen somebody smile as much as him and get so excited whenever the Reds hit a home run. And just be so excited with life and be that joyful. So that's just my opinion.
I think we'll stop there. I could go on, but I'll stop.
I got a lot left in me.